Hello everyone, this is Lorena and I'm back with another Duel Links video. If you're wondering why and how I'm back with a new Duel Links videos this soon, well, I figured out something. Yes, that's right. I learned something that was very, very interesting. And I'm going to show you guys that very soon. But pretty much I can go back through the archives of previous events in these Chronicles, you know, so I can see what happens before this one. Because Chronicles go in order, right? Well, to understand the Chronicles here, you can also read the other ones. And I was like, oh my god, I have to take advantage of this. So I'm going to take advantage of this. However, it's definitely going to be a long ride. A very long ride. Now, this is going to be different because I'm going to have to name these something different because I'm not going to make a billion videos for this event. I'm going to record a bunch of videos and rename certain things to their associated event. Yeah. Although, I'm not sure if these events will ever be held again. I just want to comment on the story stuff. Which apparently I can do. Okay, now you guys may be looking at this and you see all of these things up there. Yeah, that's right. I have to go grind for some dice. Yeah, I can't leave these duelists around here. I have to destroy them all. Alright, Kite is a... Dude, Kite, you're out of... You're out here a lot. That's kind of weird. Okay, you know what? There really isn't a lot of... There isn't a lot of variety. You know, after I stopped recording, I was grinding for stuff, and I went back to the other worlds just to see if any legendary duelists had respawned. And I found some in some worlds, and in GX, I found Ubel and Sartorius. And I'm just like, how convenient. Two of my favorite villains in GX. Just at the same time. Conveniently. That's interesting. Yeah. Definitely Ubel showed up twice. That was interesting. Yeah, I dueled them once and then I found them again and I'm like, wow, that was fast. Although since my active character is still Jaden and Ubel, Jaden and Ubel means Ubel didn't say anything because, well, I'm playing as Jaden when his soul was fused with Ubel. At that point, well, they're together forever now. Okay. You know, sometimes I want to ask questions about this computer. Sometimes I want to talk to it. You may be you may be surprised, you may think I need help, but... Well, I do need help, but not in the way you may be thinking. Man, it's going to be a wild week. I mean, my sister is going to come back at some point, but at least I have a therapist appointment this week, so my top priority is how the hell do I get myself to just stop being so mad. Now, I do think that being mad to some extent has really fueled a lot of my energy to do things. But that's only good to a certain extent. Like, when I'm sitting over here insulting my sister inside of my head because I just can't cope with the fact she's here, that's a bit more than just anger, I would say. And I think there's some hatred in there too, but I pretty much thought that, well, yeah, I do hate my sister. I concluded that for quite some time, but why do I hate her? And well, it just comes down to the fact that, well, she's done a lot of shit. And there is no excusing any of it. Now, I do hold a lot of things against her because of my own pain. And yeah, there'll be plenty of time to discuss that in the coming weeks and all kinds of. It's going to be rough because I'm trying to learn to accept myself in the hopes that doing so will mean that I'm less pissed off. But that's not an instant process. That takes time. And what my brain is seemingly saying is, time? Oh, I don't care about time. I want justice now. And I'm just like, no, that's not okay. But even though that's the case, I think it's very interesting how I've chosen to actually start doing this. Not because it's good for me, not because people have recommended that I do this, because I'm so pissed off that I don't feel safe in my house because of my sister. My primal instincts have been activated, but now that it's almost too much to bear, now I start thinking I should accept myself. This is some very interesting behavior. I'm not sure if I understand this I'm not sure what I understand less. My sister's behavior or my own. Although I do think that a lot of things that you wouldn't expect to heal someone heals me. Yeah, as much as my sister damages me and all that, I do think there's some pre-existing pain there. She's not the sole cause of any of it. Sure, she may be hurting me, but I think that's just because of my own issues. And yeah, she could become a legitimate threat in the future, and I'm sure my brain has good reason for what it's saying to me, but my sister is not an active threat. It can stop giving me that information. Let's only think about it when she becomes a threat, or if that happens. Because I'm paranoid, apparently, and I think she's going to do something very dangerous in the future. Because that's what paranoia does to you. Well, it can also be anxiety at work, but I mean, I do think there's some paranoia involved here. I don't know. In any case, I'm surprised that a lot of my sister's behavior is, well, I say that I hate her and I don't like her and all sorts of shit, but while she's hurting me, she also pushes me to develop some healthy minds. She pushes me to develop some healthy habits. How the hell does that work? Yeah, I don't know either. I can't tell you. Probably the same way that rain somehow got me over certain things that had nothing to do with it. And probably, you know, I've just gone through so much shit. It's just, I just appreciate when something helps. Because sometimes it's hard for me to find things that help me. And if something strange helps me in some way, well, that's better than nothing helping me at all. I think it's very good when I find something that's very beneficial for me in general. But with my sister, there's a mixed bag of pain, suffering, and healing. Yeah, that sounds very strange. Even just leaving my mouth, it feels weird to say it. But I think that a lot of what she's bringing up is spite. And for some reason, I really seem to get a lot of power from being spiteful. Which I guess is why some people are spiteful. Because it's just, I don't know. Being spiteful is weird. But I get a lot of power from having salt. Now, I'm trying to start doing things now for my own mental health and overall well-being. It's good to start forming these habits. I should be forming them. But there is a problem here. I mean, she could become a legitimate threat. There is some concern there because, yeah, I shouldn't think about her right now, but that doesn't necessarily rule out the potential of this being true later on. And if it becomes true later on, what the hell is what's going to happen to me? Am I going to become traumatized by some of the things she does? No, I'm very hesitant to believe that I'm traumatized by her behavior. Because I don't think that's true. At least not right now. But I also cannot deny that the way that I respond to her is definitely not normal. It's definitely a sign of someone with issues. So it's definitely a difficult topic to navigate because you may say that I'm not traumatized. And hell, I might even agree with you. But the effect she's had on me, it's quite lasting. And I've also recently realized that my past relationship with my ex, some of the baggage that resulted from our relationship is still there as well. And I'm just like, why? What is the actual issue? And you know what I ended up thinking? That's probably because he had some things in common with my sister. So that's a problem because, well, he is out of my life, and sure, I feel better in that regard, but my sister, I can't just use a block button on her. I can't do that unless she moves out. And is she going to move out? Well, she certainly says she's going to. I don't believe everything she says. Spoiler there. I mean, my sister is known to lie. I mean, the fact that I don't trust her, it's not even about my trust issues with her. She does have a history of lying. So that is there. With her, at the very least, it's justified that I do not trust her. I wouldn't have used Dimensional Prison on that card. I would have used it with Red Eyes. I know that I stumbled over that card's name, but that's because I usually get my ass kicked by the Blue Eyes White Dragon instead. And maybe I just prefer the Red Eyes, but what the hell? Okay. I'm done pronouncing cards. I'm done talking about dragons and their eye colors. I just realized that I'm doing the Vagabond. Oh, yes, I just realized that. Well, to be honest, I'm not sure saving the Dimensional Prison would have helped at all, considering the situation I'm currently in. And now what is the AI going to do? Oh, I see. You know, after I recorded some of those videos I uploaded yesterday, I was like, why do I feel weird? Why do I feel like I've done something? Well, besides the fact that I actually did do something. I mean, on a physical level, I made a video. I talked. My voice is recorded. But, yeah, it felt like I had done something good. Something very good that I have not done in a long time. That's something, well, I was not hiding myself. I was talking about myself, and I was just being who I am without hiding any of it. And now is this going to become a source of pain? Maybe. But I mean, if my sister insulting me and saying a bunch of shit to my face is... Well, if she can hurt me, then why the hell do I care about someone on the internet? Well, I guess you can argue that I'm over-emotional. But, I mean... While we argue about that, let's just remember... It's not my emotions that are the driving force here. You may think that I'm over emotional, but it's actually the opposite. I generally do not talk about my emotions a lot, and I generally do not talk about who I am a lot either because of my past. Well, I've done that here on YouTube now. I've discussed some things that maybe some people will think I shouldn't have posted or uploaded, but I did it anyway. Will I regret it? Well, there may be some things that happen because of what I've done, but if I let that stop me, then isn't that just the equivalent of being a doormat? I'm done being a doormat. However, considering my sister is... There's still some potential for her to be a legitimate threat, so I need to be careful around her at the very least. But if it is someone on the internet insulting me, well, I'm not going to feel as bad. No, I might feel like shit for a while, but I'll get over it. And it'll become easier and easier to get over it as time passes. So, yeah, I have to thicken my skin a bit, right? Well, how do I do that? Well, what will make me thicken my skin? How about getting insulted on the internet? Now, do I want to be insulted? Well, that's definitely a lot to talk about. And I'm going to tell you this. I think some part of me does. I think that there is a lot in my past that I'm not over. I think there's a lot of unresolved pain associated with the fact I was a doormat, and I think I'm disgusted by that to the point where I wouldn't feel that bad if someone on the internet bullied me, because it's almost like I want that. And then when I think about it, why do I want that? Why? But it always comes back to my past and the fact that, well, I never stood up to anyone. I never stood up for myself. And I know things got better, but I've never defended myself. I didn't do anything. Now, I do think that the way I handled the bullying was a bit less than you would have expected of someone my age. When I was in middle school, in 6th grade, I asked to be switched to another school because I was getting bullied. So, and then in 8th grade, I said pretty much the same thing. Which, I'm not sure how accurate that was, but... I mean, I don't remember a lot of the bullying in general. I just know that the bullying was apparently bad enough at one point for someone on the bus to tell my parents about it, which I'm appreciative of them doing that. And that's probably the only bullying that I remember. Apart from certain incidents that, well, there was that one time in drama class that we were acting out a scene, and I was told not to summon the demons. That was a very weird line, and at the time, I didn't think it was funny, but now I absolutely think it's hilarious. I absolutely think that's hilarious. And now, when it comes to my bullying as a whole, I think that while I may be inviting a lot of unneeded insulting, I do kind of feel like some part of me is using this as a way to resolve some issues from my past. And I mean, sure, that sounds like a good idea. That can't possibly backfire. It's going to backfire. No, I should not feed the trolls. No, no feeding the trolls. No, none of that. No, don't do it. But I feel like I've got a lot of things to heal from, especially in regards to how I feel about my past. I don't particularly like it, but I do think that I got off easy in many ways. There are things about me that, well, I wouldn't be able to stay like this. I wouldn't be able to have this lifestyle if my life wasn't better than a lot of people. Like, I'm privileged. Like, privileged in ways that are outside of Tumblr's concept of privilege. I'm privileged in other ways, but my privilege is temporary. Well, my whiteness isn't temporary, but I mean, what is privilege when you don't have a house? I mean, I could lose everything except myself. If I lose my house, if I lose everything except for my life, then my privilege doesn't really save me from that. Yeah, that's depressing to think about, isn't it? Well, yeah. It is. I'm trying to change my future. And in my case, I'm not trying to destroy a city to do it. Yeah. I'm not trying to destroy a city to do it. I'm not trying to hurt anyone by doing this. Although I don't really know what will happen to me in the future. And I do have some concerns based on my weaknesses. Although I also have some very big opinions. Like, why the hell should people have to be forced to rely on transportation? Why is public transportation only a thing in cities? I'm sure there are some very good answers to this question. But I hate that driving is associated with adulthood in some areas. Like, I don't want to drive. I think it would be dangerous for me to drive. It's actually illegal for me to drive, and I don't really know if I would ever get a driver's license approved. Like, let's assume that I went through all the effort of trying to drive, but I still failed to parallel park correctly during the driver's test. Yeah, you can imagine some shit would go down there. But with my memory being how it is right now, I'm just like, no, let's not drive. It's a bad idea. And I absolutely know it's a bad idea, but that doesn't really change much. Because adults are still expected to be able to drive. Well, outside of cities, that is. If you live in a city, then you're expected to know how to use public transportation. Which, I could probably learn that, but I'd obviously need to have some help with that, because I've never lived in a city, so I don't know how to use public transportation. But if I had some form of assistance at first, I think I'd be able to adjust and I'd be fine. Though there is the paranoid feeling that I could end up being stalked. And I insulted myself, and then I'm like, Well, I did insult myself in therapy, trying to say that maybe I wouldn't be stalked because of this and this. And then I'm like, my argument was dead on arrival. I'm insulting myself because I'm trying to assure myself that no one would ever stalk me. But then I just realized I insulted my appearance, but I was insulting the fact that I'm overweight. If I had to use public transportation, it would be a matter of time before I was physically healthy. You know, I'm not overweight anymore. if I lived in a city, I would lose weight. I've already lost a bit of weight, and I'm probably going to keep losing weight. Well, I'm definitely still eating, don't worry, but I've been drinking a lot of water. That's probably how I'm losing weight. Because of all the water I've been drinking. And I'm able to keep drinking all that water because I keep recording videos over and over. YouTube has changed a lot. Yeah, I don't know how it's done that, but it definitely has. And I think I've learned a lot from doing this. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if someone insults me. It's just a matter of, well, I have to survive somehow. And quite frankly, I'm not going to survive if I don't change. So I decided, okay, maybe I can start a YouTube channel and somehow things will work themselves out. Okay, that's the most flawed way of thinking ever, but I will discuss in the next video why my flawed thinking does sometimes work out. So that's it for this video. I will see you guys in my next one.